Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 208 of the Hoots podcast. It's June 4th, 2020. Hope you guys are having a wonderful week as much as you could with everything going on right now. My name is Joshie. You can follow me on Twitter at the Hoots podcast. Instagram, Joshie Lopez 94. That's Joshie Lopez 94. And at Josh Lopez Music if you like to see me pluck the strings of my wonderful acoustic guitar. Make sure to bookmark ProWrestlingTranscriptions.com. I made some edits, some changes, if you will, to the website where you can easily navigate some of the articles that I do. I get around almost 9 to 10 shows a week of stuff that I covered throughout the week. So to go check out ProWrestlingTranscriptions.com. More importantly, subscribe to the Hoots podcast, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, anywhere you get your podcast from. It's available for you, so you never miss an episode. Made the change on Anchor where we can get the category from sports and recreation to wrestling. Wrestling, hey, you know, everybody tells you that wrestling is not mainstream, right? Then why does pro wrestling have a category on iTunes?
It's got on iTunes. Fox has been airing weekly WWE shows on FS1. They have WWE Backstage. That's not a valid argument at all.
Yes, and
and of course we'll get into Raw, but of course our good friend, the new 24/7 champion, which we'll get into in just a little bit as well.
Man. Yeah, we'll get to everything going on in wrestling. We have some important stuff to get through in the beginning, but beforehand, like I said, not only subscribe, but just tell us how you feel about the show. What do you like about it? If there's anything that we can improve on, I'm not above any constructive criticism. It shows that you're actually paying attention to the show, and I want to give a shout out to every good brother and good sister who takes the time to check out the podcast every single week. I always tell the guys after we're done recording the show, it never feels like as long as whatever the run times is for these particular episodes. It's just a good conversation. We're having fun. The goal is never to overstay our welcome with these shows, so I usually try to keep it 90 minutes at best, but there is production elements and extra stuff that I do add to it, because I do believe one thing I've always been consistent on when it came to this podcast from a wrestling point of view is substance and context. So if I could share a promo that maybe people are not talking about enough, and maybe this is something we talked about a lot on the show, I'll air it beforehand, just stuff like that. I always have the producer head inside of me, so
you have to. Well, I mean, you went to school for that, didn't you?
Yes, I did. I didn't go to the dirt sheet school of media broadcasting, but I made the best out of it.
Careful now, brother Adam.
I'm glad you're here today, because not only are you great at what you do as a writer and what you do as an educator as well, for what you do for your profession.
Thank you.
I know you for almost 5 years now, and I just know how good of a person you are. And
has it been 5 years, Josh?
Yeah, I think so.
Wow. Yeah, I guess because warm up would have been we brought you on. I can't remember even how did you get started with warm up? I can't even remember.
I don't think he even knew me then. I think I popped in one time with Adam as like a drop in type
right.
of thing. And he's like, "Oh, okay, I guess you could be on," because I was still working at Wrestle Zone at the time.
Right.
I don't know. I think I did a heel turn. I don't know if I should have done that at the time. Looking back at it now, but hey, think about it. I came up on warm up. We ended up becoming good brothers, and then we ended up having our own show, Universal Chatter, that we were doing,
That was fun.
which branched onto this and other shenanigans that I won't bring up right now. And then we had this, of course, your regular appearances on the Pipe Bomb and this show when me, you, and Adam were on, especially the episodes where AJ were on, and that was a riot.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Oh my gosh, her reaction to the thoughts of Jericho.
Yeah. Oh man, I miss AJ a lot. She's really good, and
yeah,
it's fun to have her on. So, anyways, I'm glad to have you on, because I say it every week. This show is not just a wrestling show. It's just a conversation between two guys. If I'm sitting next to Brother Carter, and we have real life conversations. I haven't been afraid to share my opinion on certain things that's not wrestling related over the last couple of years, whether it's politics or mental health or relationships or whatever the issues is. And I'm not gonna come here today and blindly act like nothing wrong is going on, because there is something that's going wrong. The problem is that not enough people are looking in the mirror to actually realize there is something wrong going on. And, you know, I have a lot that I want to say, but I thought it'd be good, since you're here and you actually work with students of all different races and gender and stuff, just to get your perspective. You also live in the state of Louisiana, that's been dealing with a lot of press and negative stuff going on over the last couple of days. So I want to start off with you, Brother Carter, just give your thoughts on everything that's going on. And mine is more not long-winded, but I have a lot I had to get off my chest. So I want to start with you first. Go ahead, Brother.
Sure. Well, first off, Josh, thanks for having me on as always. It's always a pleasure to get to talk shop in this life podcast. This, we've said this before. This is a life podcast that just happens to focus on some wrestling every now and then.
Right.
Because that's what people want. I think that's what people want. They want to listen to 20 other podcasts about wrestling. They can find one that suits their needs, and that's cool. But we are a live podcast that talks about wrestling. And as you mentioned, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on in the world right now. And okay, so just a couple overarching things. First off, obviously, our heart goes out to the members of the African American community who are struggling a lot right now with what's been happening over the last week or so. I hope that what happens to those police officers in Minneapolis, that's obviously that I think what's happened to them and their arrests is justified and valid, and I wish it would have happened sooner, because that is clearly what happened, and that George Floyd was killed, and I'm glad that that's happened. So I'll say this, Josh. I am a straight white male who's in his 30s. And I was thinking about this today. Obviously, I hate that this has happened in the world, and this is not the way that we want these discussions to be coming to light. But this whole incident, this whole George Floyd incident, I believe has caused a lot of discussions to be had, for some reason more so than anything else we've seen in the past. And it seems like this, whatever it was the straw that broke the camel's back in the African American community. And now we are seeing more protests, positive and negative protests, because I think that the peaceful protests have been absolutely awesome, and I love it. And I love seeing the images of white police officers kneeling with black folks that are in protest, and them hugging and sitting and praying together, all across the country. And I see the same with black police officers doing that with white folks who are out and protesting. I think that that's absolutely awesome. And I feel that we don't see enough of that on the mainstream media. We don't see enough of the great things that are happening in these peaceful protests. The media's job, I understand, is to be negative and to broadcast the negativity that's going on in the world. That's what the ratings are. But, and I believe in my heart of hearts, and if this is me being naive, fine. But I believe that 96% of the police officers out there are doing great work and are doing what they're supposed to be doing. And unfortunately, it's a few people that are rooting for everything. And I think the same thing that's happening with the looting and the riots. I think that the peaceful protests, I think, are unbelievable. If there's one night of looting, rioting, okay. But when we start to get into 3 and 4 and 5 nights, and maybe this is just me being naive and not understanding, but at some point, let's just focus on the peaceful protest. Let's focus on doing great, coming together for a greater cause, which is unity and coming together. I want to see more of the positive things in the media and less of the negative things. And the last thing I'll say is this, Josh. As I mentioned earlier, I am in my 30s and I am a straight white male. And I have not realized until now just how privileged I really am. And it's it's made me personally do a lot of interpersonal reflection and like, wow, I really have had it pretty easy to compare to some other people in the world. I'm not worried what's going to happen to me if I get pulled over by a police officer. I know that the police officer is going to come up to me. I will show him my license and him or her my license or registration. Whatever happens, happens. If I get a ticket, awesome. Well, not awesome, but if I get a ticket, that happens. If I get let go, cool. But I don't have to worry about what the initial perception of me is going to be if I get pulled over or anything like that. I have been very privileged, and I'm both thankful for that and saddened by that, because that's not how it should be. We all need to be equal. Josh, you've known me for 5 years. Anybody that's had a conversation with me for 5 minutes knows that I don't care if you're a member of the LGBTQ community. I don't care if you're white, black, Hispanic, Asian, Pakistani, whatever your race or national heritage. I don't care. I care about you as a person. I care about the person that God made you to be. That's who I care about, and that's who I'm going to love, and I'm going to treat you the exact same. So, and I haven't been as vocal on social media just because that's not how I choose to use my social media. I choose to use my social media to share some funny anecdotes. I share some funny pictures, or to attempt to be humorous, which by and large fails most of the time, because that's just, the only thing that's missing from my jokes is humor. But that's how I choose to use my social media. And that doesn't mean that I don't care about the cause. That doesn't mean that I don't, that I'm not 100% interested in this fight. I just choose to use my social media in a different way. And to me, that doesn't make me a bad person. Like I said, if you've known me for 5 minutes, you know that I love everybody. I care about you. I have many, many friends and close personal friends who are members of the LGBTQ community and who are of all different races, religions. I choose to surround myself with good people, and that's what I want to do. So, Josh, those are just my thoughts on that. And I just we all need to come together and recognize that we are one human race. And nothing will be good enough until that happens.
Right. All right. For me, when it comes to social media, it's a little different for me, where I think a lot of us need to take a step back and reevaluate how we go about life, because I think every rooted issue starts from within. And the reason I say be the authentic product that is yourself at the end of the show is not for selfish reasons or anything like that. It's because I really believe in life that you can't progress or see what's in front of you if you don't know A, who you are, B, what you want to do, and C, actually trusting yourself and knowing what's right from wrong. And I think a lot of these issues and systemic issues and whatever any bit of bad energy that comes out of people is rooted in how people were raised and what's passed down on them. And I sit here today as a 26-year-old young man who's half Puerto Rican and half Italian. This hits home for me because, like you, I have a lot of people in my life that are part of the African-American community. I have people in my family that are from the African-American community. Puerto Ricans derive off of African-American descent as well, just from the Taino Indians and all that stuff. And for me, what really bothers me is that people still make excuses for what's going on and not understanding the point of what's going on. The biggest issue in society and life is self-awareness. It's not just racism, it's sexism, it's the way we talk to each other, it's the way we look at each other, it's the way that we view how people should be put in one position instead of another. If somebody's more talented than you in one field and they're of other color, so people go out of their way to talk crap about you behind your back, so it affects your position. And I never want this to be just solely based on politics, but honestly, from my point of view, society is a reflection of who is your leader in what we're living in right now. And nobody can tell me that Donald Trump is for the cause and for unity. And this is the United States, right? The you right now is not there. Nothing about society right now is united. And I haven't seen this much toxicity in my entire life. It doesn't matter what topic it is. People don't have the ability to actually have conversations like this face to face. A lot of people hide behind their social media pages. People misinterpret what people say on text messages or in Facebook messengers. They hide behind what their core beliefs are. They hide behind what their family traditions are. They hide behind a lot of things because they can't look themselves in the mirror and actually think for themselves. And the reason I say that, look at it. The first thing that came out of Trump's mouth when he first became the president, we got to build a wall. We got to build a wall. Everybody's all scared. Everybody's got issues with the immigrants from Mexico coming into the country, right? I still see it on social media every day. And here's another example. 1 second, and this is my biggest issue with America right now is that we're all hypocrites in every facet of life. So we can all be together and support our favorite sports teams, right? And it doesn't matter what race are, but to a certain extent. I've seen people over the years on social media say, so-and-so wide receiver, he has struggles with drops, right? You go on Twitter during the football game, somebody put out, how can this guy drop so many footballs? He's black. Dropping balls should not be a problem. That's a problem right there. And you know what's also a problem? That comments and snarky comments like that gets likes and retweets. Because anytime anything that pulls any negative energy on us, other people hop onto it like sheep. Because they don't know how to handle certain things. They don't know how to speak to people. They don't know how to think for themselves. Because they don't. How can anybody make an excuse for racism? How can anybody make excuse for any derogatory energy? What's different from myself or B-Rob, my friend, my good brother who does a show like this? Am I better than him? No. I have 2 mentors in broadcasting, and they're both black. The first one is Brian Snow, that I worked with at the Arena Sports Network when I first started in this business. And he's a hustler just like me, grinding, busting his ass. He had a show called Snowman in the Morning. I know this dude for over 7 years now. I love this dude. I've had his back through issues he's dealt with, and he was originally married to somebody who was white, and they got divorced because her family treated him like shit, and he had to move on with his life. And I've had his back ever since day one. I don't think people should get brownie points for being a good human being. Like you just said, it doesn't matter what you look like, what you sound like, what your views are. For me, I treat you and how you treat me and how good of a person you are. That's what I care about at the end of the day. And my other mentor, I say it every week. I plug his work every single week. Jonathan Hood, another black guy, a black guy who hosts a show on ESPN 1000 at nights. The guy who's the best host on the station but can't find a way to get an afternoon drive or the morning shows. The guy that is busted ass. The guy's the most talented host in this city and is relegated to being at the nighttime. There's a problem going on, folks. And if you can't look at it in the mirror, then you're part of the problem. I'm tired of the excuses of, oh, we got to respect the flag and MAGA and red, white, and blue. The flag does not mean anything right now because what is united about the United States of America? We got people who make every excuse in the book for Donald Trump because he lines up their pockets. It has nothing to do with morality or being a good human being. It's all about money. So is the root of happiness having money and what's good for your circle? Or doing something that actually is worthwhile and some type of legacy that you're going to leave upon once you're gone on this earth? I don't know. I leave all issues up to God because I don't understand why we all have to die. I don't know why we look at the way we look at each other. That's an issue that's handled upstairs. But it's not only that, it has to come through within you. If you don't have the ability to see that what you say jokingly or passive aggressively on Twitter is going to affect somebody's feelings, then that's on you. That's on you. There's no excuse for racism. There's no excuse for cops using excessive force on people because they don't know how to have civil dialogue with somebody who did absolutely nothing wrong. You know what? I haven't shared this story before, but I met Laquan McDonald before when I was in high school. We had a basketball game. It was Ronda Cottrell. I was shooting the basketball games on the video camera for the school basketball team. It's kind of like type of little Richmond classmates, whatever. And we would go all throughout the city from the west side to the south side of Chicago. I met Laquan McDonald before. Never shared this story before. Really cool dude. He wasn't playing for any of the teams that were there. He was just watching it as a fan. He came up to me because he knows I was recording the game. And then 2 years later, because this was my senior year of high school. 2 years later, I see this young dude that I met, really cool dude, down to earth, get shot 16 times in not broad day, it was at night. 16 times. Yeah, he had a knife out. I'm not going to make excuses for that. There's no reason for that to happen. And what really hurts me is not only the fact that happened, but it goes down to the families that are affected by these losses. And that, I don't know, it always seems like the outrage comes from like a week and a month, and then we forget about those families along the way. And that's what bothers me the most. And then you have the cops. Hey, I have two uncles from my dad's side of the family who work in the police force. And I worry about them every single day. Hell, my cousin Angelita just started being a cop. And I worry for her safety every single day. I live in one of the worst cities in the United States when it comes to gun violence. I live in a city that's segregated. Listen to that statement. I live in a city that's segregated, and it's 2020. I don't know what else we had to do to get a wake-up call, but it only seems until it hits you at home, then you actually care about what's going on in the world. Sitting there being quiet and making excuses for Donald Trump because we got to respect the flag. Hey, I respect the flag too. I respect every veteran that sacrificed their life for this family. But why is it only certain people get the respect and then the other side of the fence doesn't? Because it's not the way. It's not tradition. It's not the structure of life. How many times have I come on here in the show and said, I'm tired of the status quo? Think for yourself and be a good fucking human being. It does not matter where you come from. It does not matter what you sound like. It doesn't matter what you look like. Be who you are. So that's my thoughts.
Yeah, let me respond to a couple of those, if I may.
Go ahead.
Josh. I want to talk about a few things because I jotted some notes as you were talking, and just some things you said kind of triggered some things for me. First thing, you were talking about that police officer with the George Floyd incident, and this is an issue with the police system, is that this police officer had a history of racism and doing bad things, but yet he was still allowed to be on the force. You know, and that's been documented in news stories. That's not just something that I'm making up. You know, credible sources have reported that. And when I say credible, I mean sources that are down the middle as far as their reporting, and they show no bias at all, which we're going to get to here in just a second. But So that is an issue with the police system, and something does need to be done about that. I will agree. Now that doesn't retract my previous statement that I believe that 90 to 95% of police officers are good people and are doing the right thing to protect. So that's the first thing. Josh, you mentioned earlier about hatred, and something that I've always believed deep down to my core is that you are exactly right. Hatred is taught. Hatred is not, I don't believe that a 5, 6, 7-year-old kid has any idea what makes a person different, like that a skin color makes somebody different. That's taught to them by somebody. And I don't know if that's from their parents or if that's from something that they've watched, or that's somebody else in their family or somebody in their friends or something. But hatred is taught. And I've always deep down, I believe that both hate and good are taught. So that's something that we need to. I'll never forget, Josh. There was an image I was watching on TV one time. And this is when I was younger, but they showed an image on TV of 6 and 7-year-old children shouting "white power," like 6 and 7-year-old kids saying that. Like, what are these kids being taught by their parents or their family members? Like, that's just, to me, that just makes me sick. Like, kids are being influenced by that. That just makes me sick.
Why are parents bringing kids to the looting sessions too? That's what I wanted to figure out. Go ahead.
Okay, no, that's absolutely ridiculous. Again, I really believe at some point that becomes not about the cause anymore, and that just becomes about people with an excuse to loot. And maybe I'm wrong. And if I'm wrong and naive at that, please let me know. But at some point, we've got to just get back to being peaceful. But anyways, Josh, I agree with you 1,000%. People do not think for themselves anymore. They get their talking points from whatever social media or from whatever side of the coin they lie on. They watch that network, and that's where they get their talking points. So that when somebody else from the other side says, well, hold on, have you thought about this? Or this was being reported. Oh, that can't possibly be true. Well, why not? Because I saw it on CNN or whatever. And it's like, or Fox, if you're on the right, I see it on CNN or I saw it on Fox. It's like, and that's part of the problem, is that people don't think for themselves. They watch one news network, and that's where they get their entire agenda from. So I have a problem with that as well. And Josh, I'm sorry if I'm talking a lot, but I just there's just some thoughts that I thought about. You'd mentioned you made a comment about when people are watching a football game and somebody tweets out, "Oh, he should do better at this because he's black," and then people like it and retweet it. And anybody who likes it, I think that's a big problem too. I would say that the retweets maybe just to expose idiocy. And I would give the benefit of the doubt in some regards. Like, how could anybody be saying this? And they're just trying to start a discussion. And again, everything I'm saying could just be my naivety. I don't know what the word is.
Let me touch on this. I just see throwaway comments on Twitter, especially, are the root of what's wrong with social media in the first place. Because we could post out anything and act like it's not going to affect somebody. I'm not going to come on here and talk to you guys about professional wrestling or anything on this show that I don't feel personally. I am not afraid to offend people's feelings or family traditions, or because I'm the only person that can speak for myself. This is my life. I'm doing this my own way. And stupid comments like that, what does his color of his skin have to do with him dropping balls? Or, for example, Akeem Hicks for the Chicago Bears last year. Great player, right? Former New Orleans Saint. He gets injured last season. And during his rehab, he goes on a radio show, and the co-hosts are making throwaway comments about his recovery process. Like those throwaway lines like, "Oh, you didn't intentionally put your arm in between two Raiders players." Here's a young guy who's getting grief on social media for him being injured, goes on a public platform to tell you the mental pain he's going through trying to get back to his work. And stupid throwaway comments like that happen. He hangs up on that radio show. Next day, I'm seeing racist shots thrown towards him. People are calling out his personal character. And that's why I keep saying, why do we have to make everything personal and literal of every aspect of life? People make mistakes. People are not perfect. People may struggle performing in a public platform, but we got to hit on them like freaking bullies. Got to go for the jugger, attack their character, attack where they come from, etc., etc. It's not just one gender related issue. It's all around the world. I'm getting tired of seeing it. I saw somebody say, "Oh, Eddie Pinero, how can you miss a kick? You're Mexican." Like, come on,
man.
Like, the flag. Everything's about, oh, we got to respect the flag. We can't kneel down because the kneeling down is actually about protesting against police brutality. But we want to make it about the flag because our president went out his way to call football players that gone down on their knees and called them son of a bitches. But this is the guy that comes out 2 weeks ago and says, oh, MAGA loves the blacks. MAGA loves the blacks. You're full of shit. You've been full of shit your entire term. And that's the truth. I get sad with the fact that people just can't communicate with each other anymore, because if I disagree with you, we can't talk anymore. Remember that little discussion we had last week about you not liking CM Punk? Oh, we can't be friends anymore because
that's right. That's right. Because that's right. Because, oh my gosh, Josh, I disagree, or I don't like somebody that it happens to be one of your, I don't know if you would say he's one of your, I don't know if idol is the right word, but he's,
yes.
Yeah. He's your idol. And I just personally don't happen to care for him as a performer. But all of a sudden, well, then you and I, Josh, we can't host a show together. We can't be friends. We can't, it's utterly ridiculous. It's utterly ridiculous.
I have another role model in my life, Notorious B.I.G. You guys remember I had the Notorious Joshie Twitter handle. Biggie, a black man. My favorite singer of all time, Johnny Gill, a black man. My favorite colors, in case anybody wants to know, is black and purple. You know why? Because of The Undertaker. And that's a white guy.
All right.
No, the color of the skin has nothing to do with why I'm interested into them.
Right.
And that, it's just sad. Like, I keep going to this. I don't know how anybody could come out and have a stance when they're unable to look at themselves in the mirror and have they're unable to be self-aware of the things that are coming out of their mouth and the way they look at things. I'm not telling you that we all have to agree on every single aspect of life and this and that. But if you're going to make excuses for racism and just excessive force because you don't know how to communicate with somebody, that's a problem. It's been a problem. And for the people lashing out at these media hosts who are like, oh, can you just go back to talking sports? Can you just go back to talk about everything else? Again, we're in a really issued society, and I would hope this quarantine session would be an ability for a lot of us to sit back and actually reevaluate the way we look at life and how we talk to each other. But that's not the case, because we got the freaking coronavirus shoved in our face every single day, and we don't know what's real and what's not, what metrics to trust and what metrics not to trust. And then you got the president who wants to make campaign tweets on Twitter while pandemic's going on. And then we have this George Floyd incident, and nothing is changing. Nothing is changing. And that's the problem. And I hope everything I can say, oh, I hope this happens. I hope we can find some unity. I hope we can be all together. How many times do you listen to a radio commercial? Oh, we're all in this together. No, we're not. No, we're not. Until those people, then they know who they are, that have so much hatred in them, and they can't look past without their own fucking bubble, then nothing's going to change. And it starts from within, because like the right thing we said at the beginning, all issues, root of issues, start within yourself and how you raise your kids.
Right.
It starts and ends at home. So,
just a couple other things, Josh.
Really quick, I wanted to ask you, because you work in a public environment with your students and stuff. Have you heard from any of them, and just what's your experience with that?
I haven't. I mean, I've seen just a few of them post on social media, but other than that, well, with us still being in the coronavirus, which isn't it kind of funny, Josh, that, with everything in the world, it's like, oh yeah, there's still a global pandemic going on with this disease, that's basically taken over the last 2 months. I think I haven't forgotten about it, but it's like, oh yeah, we're still dealing with the coronavirus too, which I think is just kind of funny. But I haven't seen any of them. I haven't heard from any of them personally, just because, here in Louisiana, we're just slowly starting to open up things again, and there's still our university leaders are still asking for limited contact and limited access for students, which I understand. So I have not seen any of them, but I'm hoping that I'll get to see them in the next little while, because I want to see them and talk to them and all that kind of good stuff. So I want to touch on a couple other things, Josh, if I may, real quick. Number one, you mentioned earlier that a couple of your mentors were Black, were African American, stuff like. Same here. My two of my earliest musical mentors are both African American, and I attribute them to teaching me so much about how to be a good musician, how to be a good person. And I didn't care. I don't care what color of their skin is. I've been influenced greatly by African Americans, and I'm proud of it. And I'm proud that those are the people that were some of my teachers early on. And I think that that's wonderful that they've done that and have had the success that they have. You mentioned earlier, Josh, all what's happening on the sports shows right now is they're talking about the issues in America with racial injustice and stuff like that. And you and I have talked about this before. Sports are a reflection of life. Sports are just they are a reflection of what is going on in the world. And athletes and sports show analysts and pundits, they have a platform to address change in our country, and that's what they're choosing, and that's what they're doing. And I think that's a good thing, because you and me, you more than me, because you have this platform which is doing incredibly well. The Hoots podcast is growing by leaps and bounds. By the way, leave us a 4 or 5 star review. Cheap plug. As director of operations, you have to do these cheap plugs wherever you can. But you have a platform to do this, and you're trying to invoke change as well. But so I always think that sports are a reflection of life, which is why that those things are being talked about. Last thing I want to talk about, Josh, and I said to you before, you talked about sports stars coming out and saying things, and some people are mistakenly saying things that perhaps they shouldn't have said or are being misinterpreted. And I don't think that this person is being misinterpreted, but being in Louisiana, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about Drew Brees and everything that's happened with him over the last 24 hours. And for those of you that haven't heard, I'm sure you have, he made some comments on a Yahoo Finance show talking about he'll never understand why people are disrespecting the flag by kneeling, and naturally there has been unbelievable outrage and reaction to those comments. And now, should he have said those things? Absolutely not. That's did not.
Right.
Now, I was watching First Take this morning, and Max Kellerman, who I know you're not a big fan of right now, pointed out a few years ago that he made those exact same comments 4 years ago. So while the comments are the same, contextually, we are in a much different place than we were 4 years ago as a nation. So, and I think that for him, I don't know if he's been recognized throughout the sports community as one of the quote unquote good ones, who has always been one who has stood up for right things, and his foundation has given a lot of money to charitable cause, and he's been recognized as one of the good ones. So I wouldn't say that his comments are getting a pass, and he did issue a lengthy apology on Instagram this morning for his comments, and realized that what he said was wrong, and that's a good first step. So I don't know if he's going to get a pass on this, but at least he has said, at least he has a proven background of doing good things for the community and for the city of New Orleans. and all that stuff. But at the same time, there is no, like, as soon as I got the notification that he said those comments, I was like, uh-oh, shit's going to hit the fan and it's not going to be good. So you just, as a person and as these athletes and people who are in and celebrities who are in positions of influence, they need to be very, very careful about what they say and how they say it and when they say it, because if that's what you believe, cool. But you've got to make sure that you're saying things at the right time and putting your words correctly. Otherwise, negative things can happen, and you can be looked at in a negative light, fair or foul.
Yeah. And I didn't want to come on here and insult people's intelligence. Like, nobody can speak for other people of race, and I'm not going to start now. I'm not going to step in each other's shoes. And again, just because you disagree with somebody doesn't make you a racist either, though. I want to make that clear. Disagree on different topics. I'm not talking about racism, but like at the end of the day, all root of issue. I wanted to stress this point as well because I think that's the biggest issue of everything. You could go from issues with people being dismissive and mean towards people of the gay community, like my sister and her fiance, and all of it stems from this negative energy. Nobody knows how to communicate with each other, and it's taught down because of traditions and religions and all that. I believe in God. Just because I support my sister who's gay does not mean I don't believe in faith in God. I just think that's stupid. I think we lose a sense of reality of what's stupid and what's not. Because just because you have an opinion does not make you right. And again, until these ideologies come out of these people's system, nothing's going to change. So,
well, Josh, you know, in the Bible it says God loved the world, right? It doesn't say God loved the world and the people in it except those who are gay. It doesn't say God loved the world and everybody in it except those who are black.
Right.
You know, it's that's not in there. So it's and I'm with you at the same way. You know, I'm a Christian as well, just like you and I've talked about that before. But that doesn't mean that I hate you fundamentally as a person because of who you are. Like, come on, that's utterly ridiculous. And I know that's another discussion for another time because I think that certain people of our faith are getting are saying some things that they shouldn't be saying, and then that just makes Christian faith look bad. But that's another topic for another time. But
yeah. All right. So. I know Brooke Hart's been busy this week, so I got to catch him up on this week in WWE.
Hey, real quick, Josh, before we go on, I just want to say thanks so much for us allowing us to have this discussion. I think that it's important for us to have these kinds of discussions and for us to, you and I who come from very different backgrounds, like I just think it's cool that you and I can come together and have these discussions as two people who come from different backgrounds and come for a common good. So thanks for allowing us to have this discussion. I think it's important and shows your class and your character as a journalist and as a human being. So just want to say thanks for that.
I appreciate that. I wasn't looking to do this segment just for pats on the back or anything like that. It would be an insult to what this show represents if we did not talk about it, because I can't come on and promote, hey, we talk about things nobody doesn't talk about, and then just put a blind eye to everything that's going on right now. And sure, even if people are listening to this tomorrow morning, throughout the weekend, if you disagree with me, okay, I get it. But I also understand where you stand. So, like, I this is my advice I put out to everybody. Let your eyes and your instincts guide you, and put validity and stock into what you know. Is it okay to get advice? Is it okay to get other things down for family members and etc.? Of course, but at the end of the day, it all starts and ends within you. And I want to remind people that you're living your life. Just because one person looks down the way other people live their own life does not mean that has to be your reality. And it breaks my heart that we have this pandemic going on and that's being shoved down in our face, and we don't know what is true or not about this thing that's going on. And then also it's still 2020 and we still got to talk about racism. It's embarrassing, to be honest with you. So we'll move on. Let's have some talks of wrestling. We do have a couple rants to get off our chests.
Oh,
but
we were talking about this before. Oh my God. Okay, we'll get into that when we talk about a certain show.
Let's get into the good stuff here. So I don't want to keep everybody too long this week. Let's start off with this week in WWE. We're gonna go to SmackDown this past Friday night. We started off with interesting angle that went down. Some people liked it, some people didn't like it. There was some framing going around about Jeff Hardy possibly having a DUI. We see Elias get stretchered out into an ambulance. A lot of people are like, oh, is this the time to do this with the rest and everything that's going on? For me, I didn't fully look at that segment as just, oh, Jeff Hardy's being arrested and people are tapping into his real life. For me personally, I thought it was like I thought it was some type of wave of the messenger, the hacker, like where you get these unexplained attacks. Let's say somebody's cutting a promo and it immediately cuts the commercial break. That could be something like a hacker. Mm-hmm. And at times where people are like, oh, this doesn't make sense. Oh, it wasn't supposed to end like that. Oh, it was rushed to this. You really don't know. And that's what's awesome about the messenger. And if it's Shane McMahon, he has the ability to do anything he wants.
Right.
And I thought it was interesting how they played out. So Elias and Jeff Hardy got eliminated from the snare for the IC title tournament, and beat Daniel Bryan for Sheamus in the finals, which was a really good match. Daniel Bryan won. Jeff Hardy cost Sheamus a match, and they're going to have their match at Backlash. So whether Sheamus framed Jeff Hardy having a DUI or it was something related to the messenger, that's the thing. It keeps you guessing. It has people talking, whether it's in good taste or not. But I don't know if you saw that segment. Now, what was your thought on that?
Yeah, I did. And the first thing I thought of as soon as I saw the arrest segment, I thought, uh-oh, here comes the backlash, because they're going to talk about, oh, they're exploiting Jeff Hardy's past for for personal gain. But they've been doing that already because of all the over the vignettes they've had over.
Yeah, they've been talking about it.
Yeah, and Jeff, and what I like about the Jeff Hardy situation is he's never denied that he's had issues in the past.
Yeah,
he's never denied that he's had problems with substance abuse and alcohol and blah blah blah. And so WWE is using that as a platform to try to help people, which I think is cool. But no, I thought that segment was all fine. I had no problem. It was nice to see Shorty G back in the ring.
Yes.
Good to see him back. I thought that was terrific. What else did I like?
Isn't it a coincidence that Sheamus and Shorty G are getting some type of push now?
Interesting. Very. They're continuing to do the Alexa Bliss, Sasha Banks, and that whole.
Goddess Waterfall is on Wear Form on Friday night. Holy moly! They had a pretty good match. So basically, what happened there was the tag team summit. It was supposed to be a moment of bliss with the New Day. The New Day. Yeah, and I thought it was pretty funny. You get to have the New Day interact with Alexa and Nikki. Nikki's giving New Day Scottish pancakes, which is her grandma's recipe, which I thought was really funny.
Nikki Cross has been killing it these last. She's been awesome. Like that promo she cut a couple weeks ago. I think it was 2 weeks ago on SmackDown. Or was
Raw.
Oh, Raw. Sorry,
yeah.
That was awesome. Like that's some of her best work. Also, I don't know if you saw on Twitter, Alexa. She literally broke because Big E scared her legitimately. Yeah, I thought that was really, really funny because so I thought that was great. But no, so I really enjoyed that. I love what they're doing with that. Again, it seems like they're gonna, or what I've read is that they're putting kind of the pause button on the Sasha Bailey feud, even though that's probably going to be happening. But even it's going to come back. It's going to come back at some point.
Do you think Bailey and Sasha need a title for their feud though?
No.
That's my thing. Why hasn't somebody taken the title off of Bailey already?
Because Sasha Banks is gonna accidentally cost Bailey the title, and that's what's gonna lead their feud.
I heard that a certain NXT superstar is going to be heading on the main roster pretty soon, and I think Chelsea Green can take the title off of Bailey.
Interesting, because I figured it would be somebody like Lacey Evans or
Charlotte.
Oh, what if it was Charlotte? And could they make her Charlotte 3 belts?
Yes.
Oh my God.
No, it's a Flair for the Gold Part 2, Brother Carter. She gets all the belts.
Yeah. but of course, people are going to say, oh my God, they're pushing her because she's Ric Flair's daughter and she's not qualified and blah, 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 blah. It's like, have you watched her in the ring? Have you watched her cut a promo? There's a reason why she today, right now, as we're recording this on June 4th, 2020, is the GOAT of women's wrestling. Period. Like she's earned it.
There's greatness hate. People hate Michael Jordan for whatever reason. Right. It is what it is.
Some people say LeBron is greater than MJ, and I'm like,
oh God. That's like saying AEW is on the level of WCW, but all right.
The way they're going, they're headed that direction. But we're gonna get into that here in a little bit.
Right.
I'm really looking forward in Backlash a couple weeks. Oh, 2 things. One, I'm excited for Matt Riddle on SmackDown. I think that's going to be awesome. And
bro.
And they're saying that they can't believe it's taken him longer to get to the quote unquote main roster. But there's an argument you could make that even though yes, NXT is developmental, in a lot of ways, NXT is becoming a third brand because it's got an equal time slot on a major network, on the USA Network, right? So, people are saying, well, Matt Riddle's being moved to the main roster, but is NXT still developmental? And you've got Adam Cole, who's been there for a long time and is basically the face of that brand and is killing it as champion. So, but anyways, I'm excited to see Matt Riddle on SmackDown, and I'm really looking forward to Daniel Bryan versus AJ Styles at Backlash for the Intercontinental Championship. I think that's going to be awesome.
Oh, it's in 2 weeks on SmackDown.
2 weeks.
On SmackDown.
Oh, they're not doing it at Backlash.
Yeah, they're doing it.
Oh, okay. I thought they were doing it at Backlash for some reason.
What was I going to say? Go back to Ric Flair really quick. He was on a bump yesterday, and he was like telling Kayla to socially distance from Dolph Ziggler. Oh man,
I love it.
All right, other quick takeaways from SmackDown. Man, I love how Twitter always gets upset when they think Baron Corbin's King Corbin is gonna win a match or anything like that. That just shows you how good of a heel that dude is. And then, man, wait till Brother Carter comes back for this. But I want to go piggyback to that Sasha Banks Bailey match. No, the Sasha Banks Alexa Bliss match really quick because not only was it a good match, but Bailey on commentary and Nikki Cross on commentary with Michael Cole is just gold. She's like, "Don't you disrespect Michael Cole? He's a national treasure." I was like, wow, I'm surprised somebody would actually say that on live television.
And I always love to hear if that happens, Graves' response, because
yes,
Graves is on a whole nother level, man.
On a Matt Riddle point really quick, really happy for him. It's been a pleasure transcribing his matches on XC over the last couple of years, and recently he made an appearance on XC UK as well, which was awesome. And I know Ant is good friends with Matt Riddle as in real life, which is really cool.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
The thing for me I really liked about that was that he got the Kurt Angle seal of approval for him to bring him in like that. I thought that was really cool because when I was a kid, I was 8 years old. I went to my first SmackDown in 2002, and I was there the night John Cena made his WWE debut at the Allstate Arena. Mm-hmm. And while it's a little different where there's no crowds right now, I just thought it was pretty cool symbolism that 18 years later, Kurt Angle's bringing somebody else new into the fold. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
And then probably see anything else stood out to me really quick from SmackDown. For me, the funny part from the show on Friday was the Fast Times segment with Mandy Rose.
I didn't chance to see that, but it looks like it was hilarious.
It's gold. Like Manny's like fantasizing of Otis and making out, and it's like I never watched. I don't know if Fast Times is a TV show or a movie. I don't know what that is. I keep seeing people reference that. Maybe that's just showing my age. I can admit to that, but
Thanks, John.
Yeah, I just thought that was hilarious. So, please, everybody, go check out the WWE YouTube channel. Fast Times, Mandy Otis. It's hilarious. Oh, I forgot to mention. Speaking of good matches, Sonya Deville and Lacey Evans had a pretty good match on the Down with Connect.
I am so happy that Sonya Deville is finally getting more opportunity to shine, because I've always, from the beginning, and you know, Josh, you and I have talked about this before, I've always been all in on Sonya Deville. I think she's the total package. I think she's great look, great in the ring, good on the mic.
She's awesome.
Yeah, she has a bright future. I actually like how Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville are separated and are doing their own thing. I think that that's great. And, you know, you can come back to that feud at any moment if you need to. Mm-hmm. I love it.
Let's see real quick. Would it be too generic to say classy waterfall for Lacey Evans?
Oh, no, not at all. Because she is, or sassy waterfall, if you want to.
I don't know. It's too gimmicky. I'll go with classy.
Classy waterfall. Right.
Yeah, that'll work.
I'm sure I'll come up with something that's probably not appropriate for the show down the road. But anyways, let's move on.
As if this podcast was ever peachy. All right. I love this show.
It's great. Awesome.
Let's talk about the Monday nights of Raw. Let's get into it. I was telling Brother Carter before we recorded the show today that, man, the heel fan in me is just eating up every single thing that Seth Rollins is doing right now. Seth Rollins had a tremendous match with Aleister Black on Monday Night Raw, which was a barn burner. There was a lot of good action on Monday Night Raw, just wrestling-wise in general. For me, my favorite type of shows are where I could really tap into those long wrestling matches. And it's cool sometimes when you can see a tag team match where actually tag team rules are applied. But we'll get into that in a couple minutes. You know, Seth Rollins has the fake retirement ceremony for Rey Mysterio. And then we hear comments from Rey and Dominic later on that night, which I thought was really good, actually.
I liked it too.
It had a level of seriousness. And, okay, we all know that Rey's not the greatest promo of all time. Maybe he's not the greatest actor and whatever. But I thought him and Dominic, for the role they played, I thought they did a really good job with that. And here's the thing. Whenever Seth Rollins does fight Rey Mysterio, people will be invested into it because this has a long story behind it. It goes back to Survivor Series, and there is long-term storytelling that's going on. So I really like what's going on with Seth Rollins and Rey Mysterio. Seth Rollins is like, I'm here to lead all of you future performer-centered talent to the greater side of history and all this stuff.
Well, you know, Seth Rollins is one of those characters that he reminds me a lot of Chris Jericho in that he can constantly reinvent himself and it works. Mm-hmm. You know, like the whole Monday Night Messiah gimmick. And that gimmick just kind of evolved out of the negative reaction he got after his match with Bray Wyatt at Hell in the Cell in October. Mm-hmm. And essentially the fans turned on him at that point, and he said, well, maybe I ought to go with this. You know, maybe I ought to run with this. And then the Monday Night Messiah character was born. And he reminds me a lot of that in the constant reinventing of himself. And so I agree with you, Josh. I love what Seth Rollins is doing. And it allows him, his influence is a great way to build up younger stars. Look what he's doing with Buddy Murphy. Look what he's doing with Austin Theory, who WWE sees something in both of those talents, even though Austin Theory reminds me of Kip Sabian and not in a good way. But but they're building up the younger talent, and I like that. And so I agree with you, Josh. I like what they're doing with Seth Rollins.
The Tides New Roman family is growing.
But at least Kip Sabian has non-Times New Roman font waterfall by her side.
You did very well in that department. I'll give him props for that. Yeah.
Yes. She is perhaps one of the best parts about AEW.
Mm-hmm. So speaking of the best parts of Monday Night Raw, I want to give a shout out to Kevin Owens. Yes. He had a match with Apollo Crews. Kevin Owens is my current favorite WWE superstar. Apollo Crews, Kevin Owens went into a no contest due to Selena Vega got to make everything about herself. I'm not taking a shot at her person. I'm talking about the character. So she has Andrade and Angel Garza storm into the ring. There was more flirting with Angel Garza and Charlie Caruso in the backstage area on Raw this week.
I love it. Dude, Josh, I love it. I can't get enough of that. It's so funny. It's so funny. I love it.
This led to a tag team match with Holla 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 player, former guest of the PWE show, Teddy Long, Apollo Crews and Kevin Owens against Andrade and Angel Garza. You know, since we're in the Performance Center, if we have shenanigans in the singles match and it turns to a tag team match, can somebody just put in the speakers in the Performance Center of Teddy Long, "Hey, players, we got a tag team match."
Oh my God, that would be well. They acknowledged that when they brought him into the Hall of Fame. You remember that? Now I'm gonna do a tag team match. Oh, if they did that, that would be amazing.
I was there for that Hall of Fame ceremony. It was 2017, and he was like, "JBL, you have a problem with me being cheap? I'm gonna put you 1-on-1 with the Undertaker." Oh man!
Oh, that was great.
Good times.
I really liked. Just gonna say, Josh. I am really happy with what they're doing. That Apollo Crews is finally getting his shot. You know, he's always had the in-ring ability. I think that has never been a question. It's just finding the right gimmick, and they're giving him a shot, and I love it. I think it's great.
He's getting his push.
Yes,
push, as Jim Cornette would say. Mm-hmm. Get damn, motherfucker. Okay, so I think this scenario here going on could be a fatal four-way, possibly a Backlash where it's Owens, Crews, Almas, and Garza. And Garza turned to an Almas third match. But Apollo still finds a way to win the match. Yeah. So if you guys want a match prediction card, you just got there. So spoiler alert, no dirt sheets, nothing like that. Just off the top of my dome. Fatal four-way right there. All right, guys.
Well, and you're already giving a little teaser, Josh, for next week's episode of the Hoots podcast when we give our predictions for the Lash of the Back. The Lash of the Back.
Yeah. Only bummer is we got to get the predictions via Thoughts of Derica, but we'll get Brian Carter.
I know. I'm sorry about that.
No, it's all good.
Yeah, I won't be able to be on the show next week, unfortunately, but I will send in my predictions via satellite.
You know, it was pretty funny. Billy Kay.
Oh, dude, I love it. I love it. So glad that the Iconics are back too. I've always loved the Iconics as well. I think they're hilarious.
We have to have a discussion on Nia Jax.
And
me personally, I do not like degrading performers. I don't. I don't like it. I get annoyed with the conversations about which towns are having 50-50 pushes or not, because I can tell who's actually winning a lot of these matches and who's really getting 50-50 booking at the end of the day, and that stuff really doesn't matter. But the injury stuff and the sloppiness is just too it's right in front of our face that we can't not talk about it. And there's a nasty gash on Kairi Sane's head via Nia Jax, and this is not the first time this has happened. Something needs to happen. I saw Brian Alvarez said that Nia Jax should be either fired or sent to developmental. I don't know. I know people said that Asuka and Nia have had good chemistry to reign for their old matches in NXT, but something needs to happen here where for me, I don't have the answer for that, but something needs to happen, because I would want to think that she is talented in her own way for being a taller size performer, but you know, I didn't think anything of her promo was earth-shattering. The way she carries herself sometimes, and some of the stuff she says on social media is kind of ass backwards sometimes, to be honest with you, from what she portrays on screen too. But I don't know. It's just unfortunate because I would think she's talented and she does work hard and she does. I do think she does have a spot in the company, but you got it's about the two of you in the ring. It's not just all about you. And if you guys watch Total Divas, you'll know that Nia Jax is not always for the team. So, any thoughts on that? Because I know you've mentioned to me in the past about, you hope this character has enough safety protection. Like, what's your thoughts on everything going on there?
Well, Josh, I've said this before. I mean, I like Nia Jax. I think that she brings something unique to the table. And I remember that, a couple years ago for WrestleMania 34, they made a big deal about her storyline and overcoming bullying to win the Raw Women's Championship. Was it the Raw Women's Championship from Alexa Bliss? I can't remember if it was Raw or SmackDown. Yes. I would say it was Raw. The Raw. That
was a pretty good match too, actually.
That was a good match. So I really believe that Nia Jax has a place in the company for sure. And I think that she brings something unique to the table. And, I always try to see the best in performers. And Nia Jax has had some great moments. But I agree with you, Josh. As of late, she's been reckless. She's been potentially endangering other performers. And that's when you're going to have a problem. Now, is sending her to developmental the right idea? I don't know because, again, does WWE really have a developmental now that they've pushed NXT into mainstream media, which, for good or for bad, I don't know if that was necessarily the right move. And that's perhaps a discussion we should have is, has WWE killed its own idea of a developmental brand by making it mainstream media and taking away some of the allure and the mystic of NXT? Because, and again, I know we're getting off topic here, but we'll have to talk about that at some point. But anyways, I don't know what the answer is. I do know that she does have potential. Maybe they need to take her, but I would say maybe they need to take her off TV for a while, but they've already done that. And, they're just now trying to bring her back into the fold, that what they did after Money in the Bank. No, WrestleMania. It was after WrestleMania she came back.
Yes.
So I maybe they just need to put her in tag matches or I don't know. But I agree with you. Something needs to be done. But I don't know what the solution is because WWE doesn't have a developmental anymore.
Right. Last thing I wanted to mention before we get to the Drew McIntyre, Bobby Lashley stuff. I'm still getting a kick that everybody's taking the bait of the whole greatest match ever. Like, we all know about WWE and propaganda taglines and this and that. But hell, even I'm trying to remember who it was. I think Shawn Michaels mentioned it on Raw this Monday. It's like, oof, that's a lot of pressure. Greatest match ever. Like, just joking about it, like on the side, but like, I don't think the marketing for this match is making me disinterested in it. Like, isn't the main complaint that people get mad that WWE doesn't appreciate wrestling matches and they don't put enough stock into wrestling matches? So either they acknowledge it or they don't. Like, they can't win sometimes. Like, I'm excited for Randy Orton and Edge. I'm excited to see what new things Edge can bring to the table from an actual match is concerned, because
for sure,
this is a different element than the last man standing match. But I'm still surprised that Dave Meltzer said that was the most boring match in the history of WrestleMania. I could find boring ones from other promotions too, but we'll not get into that right now.
But apparently, sorry, I'm gonna bite my tongue because I want to talk about.
No, we're not biting our here. Go ahead.
No, because I'm waiting to get to discussion about another wrestling promotion, and okay,
we're getting in a couple of minutes,
but it's very difficult because I'm kind of bursting at the seams with what I want to say.
All right,
go ahead.
Okay. And then finally, we got Drew McIntyre, Bobby Lashley. They're getting ready to fight each other for the WWE title at Backlash. Really excited for this match. Lashley locked in the full Nelson lock after Drew McIntyre beat MVP in the main event of Raw this week. By the way, I want to give a shout out to MVP and his Punisher gear. Black and purple Punisher gear. Like I mentioned earlier, the show, my two favorite colors are black and purple. So it's pretty cool to see him come out with that type of singlet. So it's good. Quick shout out there. I We've been saying it over the last couple of weeks. We're both for this program. I think it's going to be a tremendous hoss match, if you will, for old school wrestling terms. It's funny. This week on Impact Wrestling, you know how they have the Impact Plus flashback moment of the week? It was Drew Galloway and Bobby Lashley for Slammiversary this week.
Real quick, Josh, and I mentioned this, something I wanted to talk about real quick. We don't have to get into it a lot.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I saw that Impact has released a new promo video sharing some vignettes or some videos of some former Impact superstars that were signed by WWE and are now released. So I don't know if and the company's perhaps been teasing some of them returning to Impact. Do you think that there's going to be any released WWE superstars that may return to Impact upcoming at Slammiversary?
I can see that, but I can also see other stars that were never signed by Impact that got recently released that could be on there. Who says that Heath Slater can't be on Impact?
Yeah, I like that.
Who says that Rusev can't be on Impact?
I think Rusev's kind of a long shot because of just how over he is with the fans, and I hate saying this, but he could do. And I hate saying this, Josh, but he could do better than Impact. I mean, if we're,
honestly, I think Rusev should go to New Japan, but that's
that'd be great. Yeah, that'd be great. But so I don't know. The biggest one for me, I think that is a legit possibility is EC3, and I think we can see. I think we can see EC3 back in Impact because there's a history there, and he could immediately get thrown into a feud with Moose because you have Moose, who's the TNA champion, and EC3, who is returning to defend DC Carter's legacy in TNA, and there's your storyline for the TNA Heavyweight Championship. So, to me, EC3 seems like a no-brainer to return to Impact.
This is an opportunity where I could give some praise to Impact Wrestling because they get a lot of crap and they do some stupid stuff sometimes. But I just think that the wrestling action that they've been doing over the last couple of months has been really good. And big Michael Elgin fan, big Sami Callihan fan. I think the Knockouts division is ultra loaded right now for Impact Wrestling, where you have Tasha Steelz from NWA and Deonna Purrazzo just got signed. Yeah,
that's cool.
You got Nevaeh, who's biggest shimmer here in Chicago that made her debut. You still got Jessica Havoc. You got Jordan Grace. You got Taya Valkyrie. You got Kiera Hogan. Kimberly. Hell, Emma is still in TNA. Or my bad, Tennille Dashwood is in Impact Wrestling. Their women's division is absolutely loaded right now. It was cool to hear Moose on Tuesday Wrestling Tuesday this week with Hoodie.
Oh, cool. I didn't realize he was on the show. That's awesome. Moose
was it was cool to hear him talk to Hoodie, and Hoodie's like, hey, he's the real world champion. Just playing along with the gimmick is I just thought it was really funny. So go check out that interview on Hoodie's podcast. And and then they had, how we talk about MJF being like a tremendous heel. I don't think Ace Austin is getting enough pub for what he's doing as a heel, because this dude not only can wrestle like a cruiserweight or whoever the X division, this dude is as good as he could be in the heavyweight division or anything like that. He's just that good as a wrestler, and he can piss people off to the point where you can make me like a character. The fact that Josh Matthews hates him that much, that's how good Ace Austin is.
Would you put Josh Matthews in that list that we were talking about last week of people that annoy you?
Yes. I think he's number one on the bullet.
There you go. Perfect.
All right. Last thing we'll talk about for the show will be the predictions for In Your House coming up.
Hold on.
I'm not running away from it. We're getting to that right now.
Okay.
By the way, for those watching on YouTube, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel if you want to see the video versions of these shows. And anytime, leave us predictions, give us your thoughts on the week of wrestling, anything that stood out to you. We want some more feedback for you guys and just get your general thoughts on what's going on with wrestling. Good, bad, or different. I always take some opinions. But anyways, let's get into AEW this week. I can't say much about NXT because it was a preview show, but congrats to Drake Maverick. He got an NXT contract, even though he lost the finals of the Cruiserweight Championship tournament. Congrats to El Hijo del Fantasma, who's the new NXT Cruiserweight Champion. His match with Jordan Devlin is going to be freaking insane down the road because Jordan Devlin is the real Cruiserweight Champion.
Now, should they have that match on NXT, or perhaps should they save that for an NXT UK?
Damn you, Rhoda.
I know. Could you imagine that on an NXT UK takeover?
Oh God,
that would be insane. How amazing that would be.
I know people talk about the energy of regular NXT takeovers. NXT UK takeovers are a different thing.
Every takeover show I've watched, Josh, I've been blown away by how good the action is and how amazing the crowd is.
I've been consistent about this. NXT UK is my favorite WWE brand, and it bumps me out that we don't get new shows. But again, we want everybody to be safe, and hopefully this thing passes by sooner or later. Yep. All right, let's get to what everybody's been waiting for. Let's talk about this week's edition of AEW Dynamite on TNT. Before we get into the juggling, I think it'd be fair, since we are fair, so that we do talk about the positives that did go down on the show. Yeah. And let's first start off with Chris Jericho and Colt Cabana. I never thought that was a match I would be able to transcribe, but I did, and it was pretty cool just to see that. I thought it was a good match. You know, Colt's trying to go for that Superman move, and then Jericho countered for the walls of Jericho. I thought that was pretty smooth. Let's see what else stood out to me.
I thought that Cody and Jungle Boy had a good match.
Yes, that was a very good match.
And I've seen watch for Jungle Boy. I think Jungle Boy is going to be, we talked about AEW's homegrown talent. Watch for Jungle Boy. I think he's one that could make a big splash. And he's only 22 years old, which I think is cool. So watch for Jungle Boy. He's going to be a star.
Jungle Jack.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was a very good match. I thought the pyro at the end was a bit much for Cody, but what else is new? Yeah. Let's see. I thought Big Swole and Nyla Rose was fine for what it was. I didn't think it was a great match. I thought it was a decent match for what it was. I'm impressed by Big Swole. I think she has a lot of potential to herself.
I do too. I think it's kind of random that all of a sudden she's getting thrown in with Britt Baker.
Yeah.
So that's kind of random and weird. But you said it last night, can we get more Britt Baker, please?
Yes.
Outstanding.
Besides MJF, Britt Baker's the best thing on this show. And it's not even close.
Maybe I would kind of put her 1A along with Chris Jericho. Because I'm a huge mark of Le Champion.
Well, for me, it's like when it comes to Jericho, I just accept what Jericho is. Like, I don't think he's on an extra level. Like, I know what I'm going to get from Chris Jericho. So
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. But her vignette was hilarious last night. And then let's get into this stuff, man. First off, Colt, I beg you, as somebody for the city of Chicago, I beg you and plead, please do not, and I mean this, do not join the Dark Order, okay?
God, if that happens, Josh, I am going to be, that would be, the Dark Order is not working. Like, you and I have talked about this numerous times, and Colt Cabana has a reputation. He's one of the quote-unquote internet darlings, right? And you could argue that CM Punk made him famous, but he's one of the internet darlings that everybody wanted to see. And if he gets thrown into a storyline that is not working, like and their argument's gonna be, well, they're gonna use Colt Cabana to be the savior of the Dark Order. I thought Brody Lee was supposed to be the savior of the Dark Order.
By the way, how about a follow-up for Brody Lee losing to John Moxley? It's trying to recruit Colt Cabana.
Okay. Here's what's happened to Brody Lee since he lost to John Moxley.
Hell, Thumper doesn't even like the idea.
Yeah, I heard that. He's exactly right. The week after he lost, he was off TV. This week, what has he done? He's been in one segment backstage where he's trying to recruit Colt Cabana. Like, how are you pushing this man to be your main event star? Like, what is AEW doing? What are they? Okay, continue on, Josh. The rant of Jericho is coming. Just let me know when you're ready for the rant of Jericho, because it's coming.
I gotta figure out which part is you want to rant on.
No, you know where I'm gonna rant, Josh? I'm gonna rant on FTR. That's where my rant is going to come from.
All right, let's stop wasting time. Let's go for
here's what I have with AEW. I wrote an opinion piece 2 weeks ago, which, by the way, thank you, Josh, for helping to promote, saying that AEW is proving why WWE will always be the top wrestling company in the world.
Correct.
This week on AEW, it not only solidified my thoughts, but it has enhanced them to a whole new level. AEW is promoting themselves, and they've even talked about it in promos, and their characters coming forward are saying that they are the alternative. They are giving the wrestling fans what they want. They are correctly booking what other wrestling promotions they're correctly booking what other wrestling promotions did not do. And here's my question to you, Josh. What about AEW is the alternative? What are they doing that is the alternative? Here's your interview with FTR. What does Shivani say? What does FTR stand for? Oh, well, FTR stands for a myriad of things. It can stand for anything that we want it to stand for. We can want it to stand for the revolution. We can want it to stand for the whatever. Now, they dodged the question in basically a whole, they dodged the question completely. And at the end, what do? Shivani just goes out and say it. Well, I thought AEW meant the revival. Oh, of course. And they bleeped out all of that. And he's like, oh, of course you would say that, blah, 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 blah. They once again made a WWE reference. What are they doing that's different? What is the alternative? They're acknowledging that they came from WWE. They're acknowledging the fact that they felt that they were mistreated in Vince McMahon's company. Like, all AEW is doing and what they're promoting themselves as is what WWE should have done with the performers that they have signed. They are not doing anything different. The only one that's maybe getting two characters that are maybe slowly starting to sort of get booked as their own are MJF and Sammy Guevara. Because Guevara is starting to come out on his own. I will say, when he came out and sang along with with Jericho's theme song, that was hilarious. I was rolling laughing. That was really funny.
That was bad.
It was hilarious because Guevara's trying to be the groupie and stuff like I thought that was great because he's acknowledging that he's a bad singer. I thought that was good. Even Jericho was laughing a little bit on camera, which I thought was great. And of course, MJF is what he is, and we all acknowledge what a great character he is. But again, AEW claims to be the alternative, and all they're doing is they're trying to acknowledge WWE's faults. Great. Okay, we've gotten through that 1 week or 2 week of television. Now what? Okay, We've gotten through that phase of it. Cool. We've acknowledged that they're here. Great. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. What is going to happen 2 months down the road? What's going to happen 3 months down the road? What are they going to do? You can't play the WWE misused me angle forever. And here's another thing, Josh. Here's another thing. FTR acknowledged the Dave Meltzer. And and they keep pushing Dave Meltzer. Do you know who Dave Meltzer is, Josh? Dave Meltzer is a journalist. He's like you.
No, he's not like me.
No, you're right. He's not. My point is that he's a journalist. He's not a wrestler. He has never been a pro athlete. Why is this company taking so much stock in what a non-athlete is saying? Oh, but he's been the voice of pro wrestling for 30 years. Okay. He's never stepped foot in a pro wrestling ring. He just happens to be a person who for some reason their opinion has been, has a lot of validity to it. How do you build a wrestling company around this? The Young Bucks have a move called the Meltzer Driver. What the hell is up with this company? This company is building their opinion about what other people think, and they don't have their own identity. How is that the alternative? Okay, I'm done.
Oh, that was great.
We should have I should write a weekly column on what how AEW is not the alternative.
Please do.
in fact, I'm going to make myself a note. I'm writing an opinion piece about this. Okay, hold on. Go ahead.
Yeah, make that happen. Okay. I think it boils down to one thing. And I mentioned this last week. A subscriber to the Wrestling Observer newsletter just happens to be the promoter of AEW. It starts there. What did I say at the beginning of the show about what I said at the beginning of the show about these are the directive of what your leadership is? And a lot they do on AEW is hypocritical to what their actual thesis and what their motives were originally supposed to be. Everybody wants the alternative to WWE, right? That's what everybody's thriving for. They're throbbing at the mouth for something different than sports entertainment because it's the cancer of pro wrestling and what it represents, right? But here's the thing, and here's the question I have for everybody. Not only Brett Card just asked, what makes AEW an alternative? Here's another question. Has AEW actually lived up to their sports-based presentation? Because, in my opinion, since last October, AEW has been a sports entertainment show. You have a sports entertainment show that's rated TV 14, so you curse more. Is that the alternative? Oh, we can curse now. That's the biggest crutch. Oh, the writers won't let us curse, and it doesn't come off as genuine. I saw Taz last night on Twitter saying, "Oh, I want to thank AEW for not micromanaging me and letting me speak my mind." There's people that could go off the cuff without a script, and then you have people like Brody Lee a week before a pay-per-view cut a shitty promo, 2 promos actually, or Sean Spears.
What is a glove going to do? What is a glove going to do? What is this? Is the coal miner's glove is that going to be this? What is that?
I got to choke on that because I know that it was used back in the territory days. Barry Windham, Ted DiBiase used the glove before. I thought it was pretty interesting, but I don't know what it's going to do today. I mean, hell, double standards. How many times do people point out, oh, why is Rollins wearing a black glove on Monday Night Raw?
Because it's WWE, and we're going to rebel against the man.
Exactly.
Is not. Okay, there are some things that
answer my question really quick. Do you think since AEW started, have they lived up to their serious sports-based wrestling?
Absolutely. No, they have not. Because now, have they given us some good matches? Yes. And I actually look forward to the in-ring action. I like watching the Young Bucks wrestle. I like watching Kenny Omega wrestle. I like watching Hangman Adam Page wrestle. I think that they are all very talented. I think that AEW has a lot of great in-ring talent. They really do. I like Darby Allin. I like Sammy Guevara. I like MJF. They have a good roster.
Yes.
But what are they doing to promote that as the alternative? Yes, they have a great roster, but guess what? So does WWE. Are you telling me AJ Styles, Daniel Bryan, Shinsuke Nakamura, Drew Gulak, Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair,
Buddy Murphy,
Sasha Banks. I think Sasha Banks is actually a good wrestler. Alexa Bliss, Nikki Cross. Look at the main roster and tell me they don't. Cesaro. Look at all these characters who are great wrestlers. Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns when he comes back. Oh my God! I said Roman Reigns is a good wrestler. I must be an idiot.
King Corbin.
King Corbin, yes, yeah. Yes. You're telling me that that WWE doesn't have a great roster of athletes as well? Look at NXT. Adam Cole, Velveteen Dream, Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa. I'm looking forward to seeing Karrion Kross and Tommaso Ciampa. That's going to be awesome. Mm-hmm. But WWE has a great roster as well. So what is AEW doing that's different? They're not different. And I'm sorry, Josh, I know JR is the man, but the commentary team of AEW is terrible.
I've been consistent with that.
They're terrible. The only one that sort of doing is that I actually like is Shivani. I think he's doing a great job. I actually did like Shivani in the Britt Baker promo video. I thought that was really funny last night too. That was pretty funny.
It's interesting dynamic because I like Excalibur on AEW Dark with Taz on commentary. I like their duo on there. But when it comes to Dynamite, like it makes my ears bleed actually having to listen to him and the disingenuous the disingenuous exciting noise or the laughs and JR with his old school oh man, what was the move yesterday? He was like just throwing off whatever the flying apple or whatever.
Like, I don't remember.
Pokemon doing the hip attack in the corner, like
and
kind of like, oh, the flying apple.
I remember what you're talking about, but I don't know.
Yeah, but maybe maybe I'm able to point this out because I'm actually doing the transcription and the announcers are actually doing my work for me when I'm transcribing these shows. But the commentary is supposed to get you engaged in the show. They're the narrator of your story. And when the vibe is just off from your team and they have no chemistry, then it's not going to be a good reflection of what your show's supposed to be. Like, okay, I'm sure Excalibur has his fans from PWG, and I respect his work, and I think he does good stuff, and he knows the moves. So do I. Everybody puts Tony Khan on his pedestal that he's a wrestling genius because he has a photographic memory. So do I. Should I run a wrestling company? I can recite stuff from back in the day too, but I don't go on Twitter and say, oh, I'm the biggest wrestling expert in the world, so I should run a wrestling organization. I would never say that because I don't have that much of an ego.
All right. Listen, if he wants to be the owner and sign the checks, cool. It's like if you it's like if an owner of a sports team by and large should not be the GM. Now, does the buck stop with the owner at the end of the day? Yes. Because
not in AEW, because it's the freaking Wild Wild West. They do whatever they want.
Well, I understand with you. What I'm saying is that in a lot of pro sports teams, the owner signs the checks.
Right.
And then they make the profit, as they should. Let the experts run the team. Now, and if you're not happy, at the end of the day, if you want to fire your GM or your coach, fine. But hire somebody to run the organization. You sign the checks and make the profit.
Right.
Like, that's why the Dallas Cowboys have been a disaster for so many years, is because Jerry Jones wants to play, he wants to play, GM with this football team, but he doesn't know anything he's not a football player. Like, hire your experts to run the team. And this is the same thing that's going to happen with AEW. He wants a little toy wrestling company to play with, and he's going to listen to the people who really, if you think about the general landscape of professional wrestling fans, the internet wrestling community and the AEW darlings are a very small part. So you're basically trying to appease a few people to keep people happy, but in the grand scheme of things, it's a very small percentage. So who are you targeting?
And then here's the thing. You have a match that starts off the show where you have no tag team psychology. The ref is made to look extra stupid. Hell, they did a spot with a wrench where you can notice that the referee's looking sideways to see that the spot's going down. What? Like, come on, man. The little things they do not focus on. Everybody wants to harp on the little things that WWE doesn't pay attention to storytelling-wise, but nobody wants to match with AEW because going back to the soul-crushing status quo, AEW is Teflon. That's all it is. We got Teflon Tez out there with Brian Cage and Jon Moxley. By the way, it's funny. For the wrestling company that's supposed to be the alternative, why is your world champion always coming out in the middle of the show where he's not closing the show, he's not opening the show as champion? Hell, I wouldn't be surprised if Jon Moxley did not main event Fyter Fest. I wouldn't be surprised because it's all about the elite. It's all about the revolution. What is pro wrestling about AEW? MJF. That's an alternative because he does not care what people think.
Right.
The wrestling is not a kumbaya session.
Right. Well, and the other thing, okay, here's another thing. We're the alternative, right? What's Brian Cage done since he debuted at Double or Nothing? He's beat up jobbers.
Exactly.
In the last 2 weeks, his matches have been a total. And I'm not all about timer and whatever, but he's had 2 squash matches. Like, how is that an alternative if we're trying to show off what Brian Cage can really do?
Why did you have him debut and win the Casino ladder match when you wanted just to take out Darby Allin?
Right. And again, and what's going to happen? Okay. And then what happens when he loses at Fyter Fest? Well, that's gone pretty well for Brody Lee since he lost at Fyter Fest, right?
Here's another idea. Let's say that we have Darby Allin win the match and he fights Jon Moxley at Fyter Fest. And then after the match, Brian Cage shows up, lays out both of them. How about that?
All right, great. But as soon as and you and I talked about this, Josh, as soon as they said mystery entrant, you knew it was going to be somebody making their debut and was going to win.
Yeah, there was some good stuff in the tag match, but just the 60 in and out tags and just, I understand heels cut the ring off, but in AEW, it's just like, move, tag, stomp, tag, double team, tag. It's just, you guys could hear the tags in the audio. Hopefully it's not too bad, but like, it's just nauseating to process because how can I help make your show look good in a written form when you don't have a flow to your show? Your format's all over the place, and some of the matches don't make any sense. So,
and there are some good tag teams in AEW. I mean, you got FTR, and again, they are a good tag team, and I really like.
They have good talent. That's not the issue. We all said that. There's aspects of AEW that I like. But when you have no identity and the boys are in a creative team, your shows could be all over the place. Cool. You got creative livery. You're away from the evil Vince McMahon. Awesome. Now, what are you going to do to make yourself stand out? And nothing. And the answer is nothing so far.
Look what happened Look what happened as soon as the boys got control of the book in WCW. How long did that last?
Exactly. All right. Before we head out, we're going to head on a positive note. Let's get to some predictions for NXT TakeOver in your house coming up this Sunday. Do you have the card with you, Brother Carter, or no?
What's that?
Do you have the card with you or no?
Let me pull it up real quick. I believe I can do that. Yeah. Let's see. I'm pulling it up here real quick. I'm looking forward to the show, Josh. It's going to be great to see what's going to be happening this weekend at the In Your House. I think it's awesome. I like that they're doing it. I think it's going to be really, really, really cool. Let's see. I'm trying to find the card here. Just a minute here. What match are you looking forward to the most, Josh, while I'm pulling that up?
I'm looking forward to the most is Killer Cross and Tommaso Ciampa. I'm just happy to see Cross on that big of a platform, so I'm excited to see him. I really think he's a game changer.
Yep.
And I just find it. Here's the thing. I want to be excited about Wednesday nights, but it's just interesting that NXT is a serious wrestling show, even though they work for a sports entertainment company. But AEW is supposed to be the professional wrestling show, but they're the sports entertainment show.
Okay, I got the card pulled up. So as is become tradition here, I will read the matches down, and then we will give our predictions. So first match we're going to talk about is a 6-woman tag team match. You have Mia Yim, Tegan Nox, and Shotzi Blackheart versus Candice LeRae, Dakota Kai, and Raquel Gonzalez. Josh, who do you got in this one?
I am going to go with Team Candice here. Big Dakota Kai fan, by the way. Just throw that out there. Very good wrestler. Like Candice is a heel work. I definitely see a way where Tegan Nox loses this match, so I'll go with Candice LeRae's team to win this one.
Yeah, I'm going to take them too. From what I've been seeing, she's been doing some great work with Johnny Gargano. And, we talk about people that annoy fans. It seems like they've been annoying their fans very well and playing their
definitely want to punch them in the face.
So I'm going to take Candice LeRae as well. Next match, you've got Finn Balor versus Damian Priest. I'm gonna take Finn Balor here. I think that with what his work has been great, and it seems like that's the direction they're gonna go. But that's gonna be a great match. But I'm gonna take Finn Balor to win this match.
I really do think that match could steal the show, but I'm in agreement with you, Brett Carter. I'm going to go with Finn Balor.
Right. Next up, a match that I am very intrigued about. Tommaso Ciampa versus Karrion Kross. And I know, Josh, you are all in on Karrion Kross and what he's doing, along with Scarlett, with
Lake Michigan waterfall. Go ahead.
Yes. So for some reason, I almost said Scarlett Johansson. I'm like, that's not right.
Scarlett
Bordeaux. Yeah, Scarlett Bordeaux. I don't know. I'm like, I'm thinking of something else. Karrion Kross has to get the win here to keep his momentum going, I would think. But it's going to be awesome.
Tick-tock. Yeah. I love his entrance, by the way. The end is near. Oh, man. Shout out to Killer Kross. All right, what's next on the docket, Brother Carter?
We've got now we're going to get into the championship matches. We have got the NXT North American Championship. Keith Lee defending his title against Johnny Gargano. Who you got in this, Brother Adam?
I'm going to go with Keith Lee due to the fact that Johnny Gargano blinded him with car keys on NXT last night. Little nasty spot, actually. I'm surprised there wasn't any blood coming out. But, yeah, I'm going to go Keith Lee to retain here. I wouldn't be surprised if this match steals the show, but it should be a good match. I'm kind of curious to see the heel dynamic of Johnny. We saw a little snippet of it with Ricochet, and then Tommaso came back, and then it was just back to being Johnny wrestling. So I'm excited for this match, but I'm going to go with Keith Lee to retain here.
Cool. I'm going to go with Keith Lee as well. I don't see a reason to take the title off of him just yet. Mm-hmm. But he's a person. I remember when he entered at the Royal Rumble, he had some good spots in there too, and I think that he could be somebody that could be a big player for the company down the road at some point. But again, no reason to take the title off of him just yet.
Correct.
So I'm going to say that Keith Lee retains as well. Well, here is an interesting match. The NXT Women's Championship. This could steal the show as well. In a triple threat match, you have the GOAT, Charlotte Flair, defending in a triple threat match with Rhea Ripley and Io Shirai. This is one, and I'm not sure this match is going to tell us what direction NXT is going to go with its women's division. Because did you put the title on Charlotte Flair to try to boost the NXT women's division, which really didn't need it because the NXT women's division is stacked right now. Mm-hmm. I'm actually going to take, and this is, I know I hate to say this, I'm going to take Rhea Ripley to win back the NXT Women's Championship. And then I think that Charlotte Flair is going to move over to SmackDown. And because I think that the SmackDown Women's division needs help. I really do. Raw without Charlotte Flair is stacked. NXT without Charlotte Flair is stacked. SmackDown needs some help. So I'm going to say Rhea Ripley wins back the NXT Women's Championship, and Charlotte Flair moves exclusively to SmackDown.
I can see that happening. Here's the thing. I can't tell you the last women's takeover match that I've been this excited for. This match could be insane. I'm going to go with Charlotte Flair to retain. I think a bigger moment here with some crowds back in the audience would be the moment where Rhea Ripley could get the title back down the road. But shenanigans will ensue, but the Michael Jordan of women's wrestling will retain her NXT championship. Woo!
Yes. And then finally, the main event, or the match that I hope is the main event, the NXT championship. Adam Cole, baby, defending his title against the Velveteen Dream. Josh, who you got?
I'm going to go with the Velveteen Dream to end the longest reign of Adam Cole in his NXT Championship historic title run. The Velveteen Dream will find a way to become your new NXT champion.
Well, that's who I have as well, Josh, is Velveteen Dream winning the NXT Championship as well. I hope that Adam Cole, when fans come back, gets another shot at the NXT Championship just down the road if they end up moving him to Raw or SmackDown, which I think is going to happen eventually.
Right.
Move to Raw or SmackDown. But, he's been the longest reigning NXT champion. He has really been the face of that brand ever since they've become a legitimate third brand and not developmental.
Right.
And I really believe that NXT does not, or that WWE does not have a developmental brand anymore with NXT, and I really believe that. But I believe that we're going to get a new champion as well, and it's going to be awesome. Now, again, I think that they should get one more match down the road when the fans come back, so that we can get one more Adam Cole Bebe from the crowd, because I think that's really cool when that crowd does that. But I'm taking Velveteen Dream as well.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun event. I do like the fact that takeovers are gonna be on a Sunday. A little different. It did bother me when they had the Portland show on the Sunday. I think that was the last one in February. But it should be a fun night of wrestling. I'll be transcribing this event on ProWrestlingTranscriptions.com, so it should be a fun event to jot down. And don't forget, they're coming up with a new 24 special on Ric Flair following the conclusion of NXT TakeOver in Your House. And it's going to be chronicling Ric Flair's weekend where he retired for WrestleMania 24. So I'm 24 in WrestleMania 24. So I'm looking forward to checking that out. It should be pretty funny. So, man, it's been a cathartic episode. I want to thank everybody for giving us time to hear from our point of view. One thing you'll never get here on the Hoots podcast is us speaking for other people. And I can only speak from my point of view. And at the end of the day, I just want people to enjoy their life and live it their own way. And I don't think it's important to only stuck on certain ideologies and traditions, because everybody's flawed in their own way, and it shouldn't matter what people look like or the way they sound like. Just be a good human being. It's not that hard. It's really not that hard, and it has to come from within you to make the changes that's really necessary in the country right now. So I just want everybody to have some positive energy. If I hope this dialogue helped you guys in a way, and hopefully it wasn't I don't know. Hey, one thing you got from us, you got from our honest point of view. So hopefully you take something away positively from it. So I want to thank you, Brother Carter, for opening up as well. You did a great job today, as always. Make sure to follow Derek on Twitter at Derek Stoughton. Also on Instagram, Derek06 as well, if you like.
And also check out my stuff on WrestlingRumors.net. My articles there, and perhaps another opinion piece or two coming this weekend. And I look forward to sharing that with everybody, and we can discuss later. We can have with that. But thanks as always, Josh, for having me on. And again, Josh, thank you for allowing us to have such an important debate, and debate's the wrong word, just an important discussion about the issues that are going on in the world. And it's always great to get to talk shop with you, man. It's fun.
Absolutely. Really quick, if you guys want to check out every single edition of the Who's Podcast, you can either subscribe to here on YouTube and get the video versions. If you want the audio version where you get the production elements and our awesome intro song as well, that's how always pumps me up when I start my day. Actually, Shepherd of Fire is my alarm clock song. So, man, that song kicks ass. Anyways, if you guys want to get the audio version, make sure to subscribe to Apple Podcasts. More importantly, leave us a review and a star rating. Just letting us know what you think about the show, positively or negatively. If you send a shout out on Apple Podcasts, we'll read those on air and give you guys a shout out as well, because you guys are good brothers and good sisters. We have no fans. We have no fans here at the Who's Podcast. You guys are all family to us, so we do appreciate the support. For Brother Carter, I'm Joshie. Thank you guys so much. Check out episode 208 of the Hoots Podcast. Remember, folks, be the authentic product that is yourself, and enjoy NXT TakeOver in your house this Sunday live on the WWE Network. We'll be back here next week to make predictions for Backlash. So hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Keep your heads up. Keep that positive energy. We love you guys. We'll talk to you next week.
Yes, sir.